Happy Thursday. Welcome back to the Wolff Den presented by Win Again Academy. I'm Matt Wolff, founder and CEO of Ticket Time Machine. Today we have Herbert Holler, take two with the Wolff Den. Welcome back. It was a short stint the first time. We had some technical difficulties, but glad to have you on. Glad we were able to get you rescheduled. For those in the audience who don't know who you are, tell everybody a quick intro and then we'll get into it.
My name is Herbert Holler. I have been producing, marketing, DJing, promoting, and living dance parties for over 27 years, for the better part of 27 years, in New York City, in Philly, in different markets abroad. That's me.
So, first question on your website or somewhere, social media, it says New York City's favorite DJ. Is that a self-title? Is there an actual poll on this? How do we come about that?
Somebody said that once,
Somebody, that's all you need.
and I just don't remember who.
So you're not going to give credit. We're just going to put it out there.
Yeah.
All right, that's fair enough. All right, well, if you're listening and you were the one who said that Herbert was New York City's favorite DJ, please get in touch with us.
Yes.
We'd love to give you the proper credit.
Yes.
So better part of 27 years.
Yes.
Let's start right from the beginning. How did you become a DJ and why?
So I came to New York for NYU in '94 from Atlantic City, the area of Atlantic City where I'm from. And I just got right involved with parties and music events and live music and promoting these events and handing out flyers on the corner of Broadway and Astor Place by the Cube. I just loved it. I love music. When I was a kid, my dad used to be food and beverage director at Resorts Casino Hotel. So I grew up in the casino somewhat and saw Frank Sinatra and Engelbert Humperdinck and Liberace, and that stuff just kind of stayed with me. And then there were some nightclubs in Philly that he managed that I would tag along to. So that's not what I came went to school for, but that's what I ended up doing. So I get involved with different parties and different music movements and writing for magazines, music magazines, working record labels. In about 2000, I started dabbling with DJing. And then in 2003, I went full time with the whole thing.
And what was your first gig?
My first gig was at Bar 16, which then became Sutra, which is now some, Irish thing, Irish sports bar, whatever, on First Avenue between First and Second Street. A DJ by the name of Erica Hamilton, who was then known as DJ E-Love, she had a Tuesday night event she was doing. And I told her that I had two turntables and I was practicing and buying records at the local record store. And she said, well, why don't you come and open up for my main act on Tuesday? And that main act was DJ Evil D of the Beat Miners Boot Camp Click Black Moon fame. Very, very legendary, much beloved hip hop group out of Brooklyn. And I opened up for him, and the rest is history, as they say.
Well, what's the DJ for those in the audience who might not know? What's the difference between a DJ and a VJ?
A VJ I believe, is a video sort of jock, someone who plays different videos.
But that's where the MTV VJs came, but now they're kind of like hosts on the show.
Yeah. So the word DJ is disc jockey.
Yeah.
And it originally referred to the way that the DJs who were playing music for audiences, whether that was via radio or in person, would ride the pitch, the speed of the turntable. And it was also referred to the way that they just rode through discs too. But I think it was because they were riding the pitch, which is the speed of the music. And so somebody referred to them as jocks. And that's how the disc jockey got his and her name.
And they're all kinds of different types of DJs. The DJs that I think that people know most about are the ones who are sort of spinning records and kind of manipulating the music.
Right.
Is that what you do, or are you just?
Yes. So a DJ is, in my definition, after my years of doing this and the books that I've read and the studying and the conversation I have, DJ is anyone who plays music for an audience,
Right.
whatever medium you're doing that with. If you're on a radio and you're playing music over the radio, or if you're in a dance hall and you've got a setup and playing music for people right in front of you. Um, so and I always felt that there was two ends of the spectrum. There's of the grand spectrum of DJing. There's on one end you have the selectors, where you're purely selecting. You may not even be mixing the records together, but you're just selecting and playing for this audience. And on the other end of the spectrum, you have the turntablists, who are different from the selectors in that they're also selecting, but they're also manipulating the music with tons of scratching and juggling and tricks and mixing and blends and all sorts of stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think the selecting is the most important part, right? Because if I'm sitting there and I don't like what you're playing, it doesn't matter what you do to the music.
Right.
And then there's a lot of, from my point of view, I love live music. To me, going to see a band in concert is number one.
Right.
But some of my greatest nights and most fun nights out was I was at a place that had a live band doing cover music and a DJ who was playing sets in between. And it didn't matter to me if they were scratching; they were just playing great music.
Right. Right.
So, from your point of view, how do you approach an event?
So if I am doing the event, if I'm producing it and marketing it, then it starts with a Word document. Literally, in third grade, I learned how to do an outline and I still use that same outline to start every event. In that outline, I plug in all of the things that I have to do, because when you do an event, man, when you coordinate an event, there's just a zillion details and loose ends that you have to tie in together. So my Word doc outline is the way I keep track of what needs to be done. I take notes on things that I'm working on, and that's how it starts. And then you're advertising, you're marketing. Marketing is the grand thing. So you're doing all of that. You found the venue, your target audience, you have the flyer, the imagery behind it, you know what you're going to play, and now it's just a matter of getting people through the door. If I'm hired to play an event, then I have a conversation with play an event that I'm not producing or marketing. Then I'm having multiple conversations with the person that is hired, bringing me in to do this event, about what they expect and who's going to be there. I mean, really, when it comes to the dance floor, it's a dance floor is like a being that's born and learns itself as it goes on. It's almost like an algorithm that gets out there and learns what it is. Like, you can plan for your dance floor, but your whole plan goes to heck.
You can say shit on here, I think.
Goes to shit if
Yeah.
people don't respond the way you want. So that's where my improvisation and my open format skills come into play. The goal of the event is to entertain the people who come. It's not about me at all. It's not about what I want to hear. That's not why you're hiring me. That's
Yeah.
You're hiring me to entertain the people that you're hosting. That's my job, period. Like, how do I get them to move? Is it by playing the Macarena? Or is it by playing, Boot Camp Click or Brooklyn kind of anthems? Like, it just all depends. And when I do an event myself, there's a little more of me involved, but still the end result is making sure that whoever comes enjoys it.
Yeah, it's just as easy to clear a dance floor as it is to get a dance floor, popping.
Yes.
So
It's actually easier to clear a dance floor.
yeah, it could be, yeah.
Yeah.
So if you see it happening, I assume you have a playlist, but you probably have to call some audibles too, right?
Well, I never have a playlist that I stick with. So I have a well of songs that I've put together after finding out who's going to be at this party and what I'm expected to play. So I have this well, and I tap into this well. I draw from this well throughout the evening, and then I use sort of feedback from how they respond to each bucket of water, to go with the metaphor.
Yeah.
And I tweak, and I call audibles all the time. It's not just I have to wait till something screws up. It's like the audibles are already there, sitting at my fingertips every time I try a song. It's like a lot of tickling and a lot of teasing. Someone once said that I follow and both lead. the same time throughout the night.
Yeah.
And then when you get them into the zone where people are just like eating from your hand, then you're leading and they're following and you're just taking them on a journey.
It's tough. I got married last year, and I had a specific vision of the songs that I wanted
Right.
to be played, and so I had a lot of the songs that, hey, I want you to play this. We actually did headphone disco for the last 45 minutes
Oh,
or
you
so.
did a silent disco?
Yeah, so I had to create that playlist, which it's hard. It's hard to, if I say I only have 45 minutes and I got to pare down, hey, which songs
Right.
do I want to hear? And then the other problem is I have so many songs that I love that I don't even remember. The other day I heard it on the radio and I'm like, oh man, I totally forgot about this song. And
So
there's probably 100 of these songs that I'm trying to, like, how can I remember it? So how do you pare down?
well, when I do an event for a client, let's say a wedding, I always say, here, send me a list of songs that give me direction, songs you like. Oh, this would be great. This would be great. Send me a small list of songs that you absolutely have to hear at some point in the night.
Yeah,
Send me a list of songs that you cannot hear.
yeah,
But ultimately, remember, as important as this day is for you, you're playing host to people from all over the world. There's no celebration without them. We, both the client and myself, you and I have to entertain them.
hmm
So you may not want to hear the Macarena, but if 50 people are on your dance floor dying for it, are we not going to play it because you don't want to hear it? It's too cheesy for you. And I say that in a nice professional way. Like, it's about them. It's not about us.
yeah. We do. You got to have the Cupid shuffle in the mind. You do a little, like,
Yeah.
don't play the whole song, but play a little bit of this, and people
Yeah.
are going to do it. I've never been to a place where that stuff comes on and people just be like, you know what? I'm out of here.
Yeah, like you can get really granular about I want you to play this time. But then I would say to you, that dance floor it has a mind of its own. I will do whatever you say. My request line is always open, but I will give you fair warning. I don't think this will work.
Well, I got a lot of DJs who are I don't know. They don't take requests. They think that they
Yeah.
know exactly what to play, and you tell them. I'm sure you get a lot of requests, so you can't take all of them.
I don't
How
get too many. I don't get too many, but I get a decent amount. And my response is thanks. I'll try to work that in. That's what it is. Or if it's like, oh, darn, well, that's great. That's be a good idea right now. Let me do that. Like, it's a looking glass into what people want on the dance floor. And again, you know, I, I'm different from other DJs in the sense that I've given myself. It's a selfless thing for me. I'm not there for me. My enjoyment comes from seeing people really have a good time. So however I gotta play to get that happen, I'm gonna play.
Yeah,
So
that's a great. I mean, I was at the Jonas Brothers concert the other day, and there were thousands and thousands of screaming girls. And some of the best moments from me from that night were just watching these young kids who were dancing and just like going nuts. And this one girl who was right in front of me was dancing. It almost seemed like it was her first show or this is her favorite band. And her mom is recording it. And it just brought such a smile to my
yeah,
face.
yeah.
See that moment, just like the joy that the girl had dancing and the joy that the mom had watching her daughter interact that way. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, there's nothing better than having a dance floor and
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just popping.
Yeah. That's why I do it, because I love to bring people together and to help them connect with one another and celebrate and have fun at the same. There's nothing better than that. Like, human beings celebrating is the greatest thing, you know?
For
So,
me, and let's just while we're on weddings, music is number one, and then food is number two. Everything else is,
well,
they got the same drinks for me. As
I would say
if I'm a guest,
that from a guest point of view, yeah, cool. But from a party, from a coordinating point of view, booze is the most important, because if you get shit faced enough, then we can order a pizza, and I
yeah, but
can
you
put in
can
my
get
I
shit
can,
faced whether you have top shelf or
right,
not, whether you have
right,
beer and
right,
wine or not. So
yeah,
that's what I mean. Like I've never been to a wedding and said, you know what, the alcohol here stinks.
right,
I've been to
right,
plenty of weddings where I'm like, the music, and the food,
right. Music and food are really important, but for my purposes, for my goal, I would love it if everyone was trashed, because
yeah.
then I'm just playing. We're just rocking. Doesn't
Have you,
matter.
have you played a sober party?
No, no.
There's so many people. Like, I don't need
Well,
to drink to have a good time on the dance floor, but it certainly does help.
there are dance parties and movements where people are predominantly sober. For instance, house music. Now, on one end of that spectrum, there are the parties, the underground party, not the underground parties, but the parties that are like in big warehouses and big dance clubs where people are on drugs and they're not sober. But then on the other end of the spectrum, there are people that really religiously go to hear these DJs completely free and straight and just open. And all they need is water and fruit.
Yeah.
And they're not on any single drug. It's a spiritual, almost religious thing for them. And they go and they wear sweatpants and t-shirts and they bring a little duffel bag for a towel. And it's a workout and it's like a cleansing really for them. And I've done a couple of those parties. I won't say that they were there for me, that I was some type of like prophet, but I was playing opening for someone and it was just probably maybe the best gig I ever had. Just the openness and the reception to music was just phenomenal.
Music is such a huge part of everything. I mean, we had this conversation. I asked people if you had to get rid of either music or movies, or you had to get rid of music or sports.
Right.
I can't get rid of music because imagine watching a movie without, or going to a party without music. It's not much of a party. Not much. It's not going to be a very entertaining. Even a sporting event without any type of music is going to be kind of rough to watch.
Yeah, I think that is important. I think that especially nowadays, commune is important. Community, bringing people together in person to share, and to talk and to build, and that's an integral part of the experience for me as well. That's why I love producing these events. To not just you know make people go ape shit with great music, lose their minds in the music, but to do that together and to meet and share and build. I've DJ'd weddings where the bride and groom would meet on one of my dance floors. To think that I had some type of influence on building love and some type of connection to human beings coming into this world is kind of crazy. It's like it's a good feeling, you know.
How different are all of your shows? One of the things that I don't like, and again, if I used to go out and see the same cover band every week, the cover band would play the same songs, and
Right.
the DJ would play the same songs, and almost to the point where I could tell you what song is coming on next, which is
Yeah.
scary for two reasons. One, I'm probably there too often, and two,
Right.
they need to change up their act.
I think that nightlife has changed. Going to shows and music has changed. So first of all, I wouldn't really call what I do a show. In fact, when I DJ live music shows, I felt like I opened up for Snoop Dogg on New Year's Eve, and it felt awkward because I don't do the tricks. There isn't much to see, but there's everything to hear. So I was just sort of trying to engage them as much as I could, like going through different songs. So I do you know dance parties. That's more of what I do. And they used to be every single week. Like nightlife in New York in general, probably in different markets, we didn't go out till midnight. And we didn't come home till like 7 in the morning when the sun was up. Now kids are in the club at like 10, 11, and they're eating by 1 and home by 2. It's
Yeah.
crazy. But
Well, that's because nothing good happens after 2 a.m. is what
oh
I.
well, that didn't used to be the case. But so I used to do the parties that I do. I used to do them weekly, like every single week, when there was more of a demand and more of a thing, a nightlife that was suitable for that. But now I do them once a month, and I'm happy that I do them once a month because yeah, there are some times where certain mixes are so great, I just got to keep doing them. You might know what comes next, and I understand that if somebody comes to a monthly gig and say, "Oh, I heard similar things last month," I'm going to try to listen to somebody else. I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that. My job is to make a majority of my dance floor go ape shit. And if I'm doing that, then I'm doing my job and there's nothing else I can do.
Yeah,
You know,
everybody has a different
right,
experience
right.
and different songs that
And
they like to hear.
I think DJs should take risks and experiment a little, but at the end of the day, you're not there to teach anyone. You're not there to, you know, you're there to entertain. And so throw a little bit of that in, sure. But you want their hands up in the air and them screaming. That's your job.
And what's for you? Maybe not as much if you're turning, using the turntables, but DJing back in the day to DJing today.
Mhm.
I mean, everyone can be a DJ very easily. You put
Yeah.
up a playlist on your Apple or Amazon or Spotify and just let it fly. So how has it changed for you?
Um, For me, it's frequency. Like I used to DJ 4 or 5 nights a week in lounges, and now I DJ like once or twice a week tops. Um,
And
and
why is that? There's just not an appetite for it? Or
because I know because well, there's not an appetite in me in a way. I don't want to DJ 4 or 5 nights a week. So if I can DJ twice a week and make more money, so the gigs that I'm doing are higher price
that's
points.
what I meant. The appetite for these bigger. Anyone can go. There's plenty of parties every day of the week to just go. Someone needs a DJ and you want to throw, but you want to be at the bigger events and it's got to be worth your time. Obviously,
Yeah, it's
I
I've
can
been doing
take
this
today
for
that
over
you would have 10 years ago.
right. I've been doing it for over 20 years, so it's like now it's like I don't want to go back to doing 4 or 5 residencies a week to make not even the same money, but less money than I would have what I'm doing now, which is doing a couple gigs a week tops, 1 or 2, maybe not even 1. You
Yeah,
know, it makes more sense. The other way it's changed is that um, it used to be hard to get records, certain songs. Like, how do I get that song? Now it's really easy. Just go online and grab it.
yeah.
Um, and it's also changed because there's a zillion DJs and a zillion party promoters. It didn't used to be that many. There used to be a handful. And now it's like the competition is just crazy. When you're doing a party and you're promoting it on Facebook, your signal shot across the bow is just one of 100, 200, and 300 of the same signals in the same market. So it's definitely a more beleaguering, if that's a word, expensive marketing process. Unless you can find someone, you or someone in your circle is a big influencer and has a shit ton of followers on Instagram and Facebook, and then could put a message out there and you can get sales that way. But those are very far and few between. And you have to have a lot of followers. You have to have numbers. I mean, numbers that I'm talking about are like, for instance, DJs like D Nice who are in the millions.
Yeah.
You know, um, if he were to do a party in the in a market and put the signal out on Instagram and not promote or spend to, but just put it out there, he would have a decent turnout because he's got many millions of followers.
Well, I tell you, I went and saw DJ Jazzy Jeff,
He's great.
and
He's great.
but I was so disappointed because I didn't go there to see him DJ. I wanted to go there to hear the songs that I know, and
Right,
I'm sure I'm different than the people who probably
right.
went there to see him DJ. Like I don't care if it's DJ Jazzy Jeff uh, scratching records and playing stuff. I happen not to like the music he played, which is fine. Doesn't mean it wasn't good. Or if
What
you're,
didn't you like about it?
it just wasn't the music I like. I don't know.
Okay, so the music that he was playing wasn't okay.
And he didn't play any. I mean, he played his stuff for about 30 seconds. And I kept telling my friends, I'm like, no, he's gonna play his stuff. Of course, he's gonna play his stuff. He played like 30 seconds of Fresh Prince, and that was it.
Oh, you went there. You were hoping he would play those songs.
I would hope he played his song. Yeah, I went there
Right,
to see him, not a
right,
DJ set by DJ Jazzy Jeff.
right. Well, interesting.
But I get it. It doesn't mean that I'm the normal at that place. And the
If
people did want to go see him to play that stuff.
if you're going to see a hip hop DJ DJ a party, they're going to take bits of songs and string
Yeah,
them together throughout the evening. Now, if you're going to see um, a DJ like David Guetta, who's more in my mind of a producer, but he does DJ because he plays his music for audiences, right? Now you're going to hear songs this is house music. This is different than hip hop. You're going to hear the entirety of the song most often, and then you'll hear his songs as well. So it's a different experience. Like hip hop DJs and house DJs there are different styles for each genre of music. A
yeah.
hip hop DJ will mix in house music, you know, and all different genres, whereas house music DJs will primarily stick to house music and longer duration of songs being played and longer blends.
I don't even know. The thing is, I don't know if they said that he's going to be DJing a set or if he's going to be performing, which is a big difference, right?
It's interesting. This is a very interesting conversation because for me, if I see DJ Jazzy Jeff doing a party, I know what I'm going to get. He's going to be DJing songs, like hundreds of songs. He's going to be mixing them together and keeping you excited and dancing. That's what I know from that.
Yeah.
Now, if I'm going to go hear David Guetta spin, I'm like, okay, he's gonna do the same thing, but it's way less songs. He's gonna play them a lot longer. I'm gonna hear his songs. Yeah.
Yeah. And now, the people like Marshmello they're not really DJs, right?
Well,
But
they are technically because
yeah,
they're playing music for
But
an
they're
audience.
collaborating with these other people where I think it's awesome. Some of his stuff is just it's great.
Yeah,
I'd love to see him live. I haven't yet to see it,
yeah,
but because he can play this stuff and that's it's great songs, and I don't have to really hear someone perform. Whereas there's a lot of collaborations in music right now where I go to a show and there's a video of the person singing half of it because obviously they can't all tour together.
right.
Pitbull, who collaborate with everyone. I go to a Pitbull show. I mean, it is what it is, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The You talked about Snoop Dogg. What's some of your memorable parties that you've done or stages that you've been on?
Um, I DJ'd my old school dance party, the Freedom Party, which is the longest running old school hip hop party in history, really in the world. It's 18 plus years and 800 plus parties. I DJ'd that at the Brooklyn Museum first Saturday, and there was almost like 20,000 people. That was probably the largest crowd I've ever spun for, and they were all around the area, just throngs of bodies, and it was like overwhelming. I don't know if I did that good of a job because it was like it's almost like hard to connect when there's so many people. You're not connecting with people, you're connecting with this one massive sea of bodies, and so that was a memorable one. When I did the Freedom Party anniversary at Summer Stage in Central Park, I got 5,000 plus in there. I sold that place out. That was great. Um,
Where haven't you played that you'd love to play?
oh gosh, I mean, my dream one day is to have play at Madison, to have the Freedom Party at Madison Square Garden. For me, if I got there, then that would be like the penultimate.
Yeah.
The Target Saturday, the Brooklyn Museum thing was free, so it's more like a big thing, a cultural to do, and it's almost like any old DJ could have been there doing it. But I just happened to be me and my sound, and it was great. But having a Freedom Party at Madison Square Garden and selling out the garden would be like, what? Did that really happen? You
It
know?
really is one of the most iconic. I grew up in New Jersey, and
Yeah, me too. Me too.
there was not a bad seat in the house there for any of the games. But I remember maybe my favorite event ever in Madison Square Garden was the Jingle Ball, and the lineup was like Green Day, Weezer, Bon Jovi. It was like '97, I think it was. It was just the most incredible
Yeah,
lineup you've ever
yeah. I
seen.
went to the first Lollapalooza was like that for me at Randall's Island. It was Tribe Called Quest, Beastie Boys, Green Day, Smashing Pumpkins. It was pretty crazy. But you had me thinking about two other really memorable gigs. One was playing for that house music crowd I told you about that doesn't drink and just I was only supposed to open. I was open for Sting International, who's an acclaimed producer and house music icon. And I was only supposed to play for an hour, but I went 2 hours because I was just killing it. And as I left, I just couldn't leave without hugging so many people who come out to me and giving me hugs, like that I had done something so important to them and so helpful. And that felt awesome. And then there was this incredible moment. I did a wedding at the Rockefeller, what is it, Blue Hill at Stone Barn, or Stone Barn at Blue Hill. There's a farm in Tarrytown area, and they have really beautiful weddings there. And I remember that the event planner came up to me and said, "All right, I need you to play." Everyone was dancing. She said, "Okay, now I need you to play something a little more chill because I want them to go sit down and eat their Berkshire pig." And I said, "Okay, I understood that." I mean, that I don't like when I get those instructions because come
Yeah.
on, they're rocking. Let's have fun. Let's let them naturally go. But I understood the plate was warm. It was Berkshire pork, and it was so I put on "Something About You" by Level 42, which was an old
I don't think I know
late
that.
80s. You would hear it, you would know it.
Yeah.
It's one of my fave like sleeper songs that I just hair my I get goosebumps when I hear it. And so I played it thinking that it's not super popular, it's not a killer. So I'm like, all right, let me put this on now. Okay, now it's time to go eat and put on a song. And they went bananas. They're like, oh my God, he played this song. And they all started, and I was almost crying. I was like, I cannot believe I connected with them on this song. That was such an amazing moment for me. And I looked at the event planner chord and I was like, I didn't mean to do it. This is not a popular song.
What's a
So she said, okay, let the song play and then put on something slow. And I said, okay, fine.
Yeah. What's a song like that the average person probably wouldn't know if you say, but if you heard it, that is really just a great song? Do you have
Oh
anything?
gosh, there's so many of those. So many of those.
Just give me one if you
Kenny
can.
Loggins' Heart to Heart. It's one of my favorite songs of all time.
Or
And it's obviously people know Kenny. Most of the world knows Kenny Loggins for his movie songs, right?
Footloose.
Caddyshack and Footloose, and but Kenny Loggins is one of the most talented and acclaimed and important pop persons of all time. I mean, his work with Messina, if that's how you pronounce it, his work with Michael McDonald, his song Danny's song. Um, he's got and he's the work he's done with like Stevie. He's got so many songs and such an amazing voice that really the movie soundtrack songs are just like, oh yeah, of course he did that. But do you know these songs here? Heart to Heart is one of the most robust songs I've ever heard. It has all these different genres in it. It has jazz, it has R&B, it has rock, it has funk, it has soul, it has disco, it has all of these things in one song. It's so perfect. And the lyrical content is there, and that's the biggest issue I have with new music is that the lyrics are just it's like lyrics, people. What are you saying? They're just saying things that rhyme, and there's no meaning. But this song that he wrote, kind of like "This Is It," that song he did with Michael McDonald. There's so much significance. Heart to Heart is about you know having your the relationship is not doing well, you know and I admit that I'm to blame for it's so much honesty and so much poignancy. And then This Is It is about, your back being against the wall and the end is in front of you and you're considering ending it and saying, okay, but now's not the time to do that. And that was really inspired by his dad, who he visited in the hospital, who was dying, and said, look, I'm giving up. I've been helping my whole life. If God wants me now for this dumb thing, then I'm giving up. And he's like, just, you can't do that. And it's incredibly inspiring. So I would say that, yeah.
I think of Huey Lewis when I think of This Is It, even though it's not it. That's not
Right.
the name of the song, If This Is It. My understanding, Kenny Loggins is not in the Hall of Fame for his own thing. I had a guest, Lauren Carey, who does a craft beer and Weird Al Yankovic podcast. And to me,
Nice.
not having Weird Al Yankovic in the Hall of Fame it's crazy to me. It's
Yeah,
just,
he's yeah, gosh, how many times do I still quote the songs that he's done? Like I always yell at like my friends, like I'll just be like, you ain't fat, you ain't nothing from his I'm fat. Just out of nowhere, just like ding dong, man, ding dong for some reason. Yeah, he should be in there.
but Loggins should be in there too. I don't think he's in there on his own.
Are you sure?
I don't know for sure. We can do.
You see me typing this in right now?
Yeah, I didn't think he was. I thought I saw some chatter about like how is it that he's not. I want to go back to you mentioned Beastie Boys.
Oh wow, yeah. He's not in there. Christopher Cross in there. Michael McDonald. What?
Yeah. I don't know. I saw Beastie Boys, Tribe Called Quest, Biz Markie in the Meadowlands.
Wow.
And I think it was Tribe's last tour or their first last
awesome.
tour.
Yeah.
Their first last tour maybe. And I really didn't enjoy the Beastie Boys because they were changing the sound of their songs because the DJ was spinning like Jay-Z into the thing, and I didn't like it. There's a big there's two schools. People like to hear it.
I'm with you. I like to hear the song as I know it, and that's why I was when I went to see Portishead live. I was a huge Portishead fan, and they didn't play the songs like they hurt. And I was like, oh man, I didn't like don't do that. But it reminded me of another memorable gig, getting to spin with Q-Tip at my old school party. That was just, and it was a huge turnout. And that was just like, you see pictures of me just like ear to ear cheesing. I was like, oh my God, I'm standing next to Q-Tip. Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, Adam Dirks, Counting Crows, very known for not playing the songs the way they're supposed to. And I think it's good. I think I enjoy that more than other songs, but you want to hear it the way it's supposed to be heard. So,
yeah, their first album was in August and everything after. God,
it's one of the best, right?
Oh my God, like
I can count on probably one hand, maybe two, the number of albums that I could listen to from front to finish, non-greatest hits. Yeah, and that's on the list.
Absolutely. I mean, Tribe Called Quest is gosh, probably more than one album of theirs, but certainly Midnight Marauders. What an adventure that was! What a ride that was! And Smashing Pumpkins' Siamese Dream, and there's so many.
Tom Petty, Full Moon Fever.
Oh my God! I listened to that with my dad. Yeah,
that might be my all-time favorite album.
Oh, what a ride! They don't make stuff like that anymore, where you can really listen to it start to finish and be on this journey. Diggable Planet's second album, the Honeycomb Blowout or something, or amazing. Anyway,
we're music. It's like, it's all, everything's subjective with music, right? But
Right.
you've been doing this for 20 plus years,
Yeah.
25 plus years. What's the best decade, or what's the best?
Wow, I've had these
What's
conversations
your
with
favorite,
myself.
really? What's your, not the best? You can't
In
answer.
the shower, I have these conversations with myself, and I
Yeah,
save them. And that's funny. I was always thinking about, well, when would I actually have a chance to really be on a panel or some type of interview where we can discuss it properly? It's hard to say because obviously the genre, the decade that you're from and that you connected with will always be up there, right? So it's hard. I mean, I would love to have this conversation with like a music academic who's young, because I want to hear it from them that they would say, "Oh, the aughts are the
yeah.
best," and you'd be like, "What?" Or the 2010 to 2020. I'm like, "What?"
I think it might be the '80s.
I
It's
don't.
hard to argue
I
the
want to see if a young music academic, smart person, music theory person, would say, "Okay, it's either the 60s, 70s, 80s, or 90s." Because to me, you know, after the 90s, everything has been done.
'80s. Yeah,
Nothing is new, and so it's hard. Like the 80s had incredible pop music. In the 80s was just groundbreaking and amazing and fun, and the R&B in the 80s was just some of my favorite. The black artists, um, making things that were just so delectable. um, but in the 90s, you know alternative rock and grunge and hip hop and acid jazz and trip hop and house music. And well, the house music was great in the 80s too, but drum and bass and all these new styles of electronic music coming to fruition. And in the 70s, the disco and the soul and the funk and the rock is like, how do you turn that away? How do so I'm
I actually think my mom was a big oldies, so I actually like the '50s and '60s better than I like the '70s, because I actually didn't start listening to music a lot until I was like a senior in high school. So a lot of those bands that were, the Rolling Stones and all
right.
those, I
Yeah,
didn't get into them as much. Led Zeppelin, I didn't know anything about them because I
right.
was listening to my stuff, and then my mom had this stuff on the TV. So I'm kind of like '50s, '60s, skip the '70s, '80s, '90s
Well,
for
the
me. That's
70s were
me.
incredible.
Yeah,
So if I'm going to be safe and not be too biased, if I was incredibly biased, I would say the 90s, because that's when I became like such a rabid fan of music, right? Even the reggae music in the 90s was phenomenal, notwithstanding some of the more, offensive stuff. Um, but I'm going to safely go with the 80s just because it had the best of the 70s and the best of the 90s, and the pop music was fantastic in the 80s. I think the pop music in the 90s kind of sucked overall, like Spice Girls and Britney and Backstreet Boys, and But somebody might be like, "You're crazy," and I'll still play all of it because if it
yeah,
makes
I
me
like
happy,
all of that stuff, but
right?
I agree that
Well,
it's
I'm
better.
gonna
It's
say
better.
I'm gonna say the 80s, and second place is 90s. Yeah.
If you could pick one person to not die young, and their music, they could have lived a full life of
Mm,
their music. I think a lot of people probably pick Kurt Cobain. Who would you
yeah,
choose?
that's a good one.
Jimi
I would have
Hendrix
loved.
was young, right, when he
Yeah,
died.
I would love to see. Donny Hathaway is my favorite of all time. His song "Misty" is just my favorite song ever. There's just when you ask me what is the favorite song, I don't tell you. It's difficult for me to tell you. I'll say it's "Misty" by Donny Hathaway. I would love to have seen and hear more from him. He tragically either took his own life at the Essex Hotel and jumped out of his room, or he fell over the balcony in one of his sort of manic episodes. He was definitely chemically imbalanced. I don't know if he was depressed or if he was bipolar or schizophrenic, but I would have loved to see more from him. I would have loved for Prince to be alive so I can actually go see a show. But that's me being selfish because I think the best of his music happened and the newer stuff was, you know, but that would be great. Yeah,
It's death, but whether it's, who knows, drug overdose, or it's just,
right.
it could be. I mean, we've lost so many great artists. You think
Yeah.
about, like, even just Chester and Chris Cornell. Um,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah, that was very sad.
brutal. I love Linkin Park, and
Yeah,
you don't realize how great they were until you start just listening to their songs. It's funny that people make fun of Nickelback all the time.
Right.
If you start listening to Nickelback's songs that charted, I mean, it's unbelievable. You'll be like, no, there's no way. They have like 10 or 12 songs that are just great songs. That it's like music, I think.
The song hatred is silly. It's silly to me. I can understand. Like, I'm not a big like K-pop guy, but I remember I was asked this once. I was interviewed at a Freedom Party, and someone said, "What is great music?" And I said, "Great music is Britney Spears and the Macarena. It's whatever you think is great."
Yeah.
Now, maybe the question was like, "What is soul?" And I was like,
That's a tougher question.
"No, it's not," because for me, it's like, how are you asking that? Is that what is the genre of soul music? Well, we know what that is: Isaac Hayes, and Al Green, and Marvin Gaye, and Stevie Wonder. But what is for a song to be soulful? Is that something that if that's something that connects to your soul and it moves your soul, that could be anything. I'm just not one of these cool dude hip hop DJ dudes. Like, I don't do that. It's like it's not music isn't about you and your own bubble. It's about the way it connects all of us.
I will say sometimes music can be very personal.
Yeah,
it could be you in your own bubble, but I do agree with that. What makes great music for me is just something that moves me. It can move me to dance. It can move me to smile. It can move me to
cry.
Cry. I cry. There's a song that comes on, and
Waterfalls.
It was the number one song on the radio when my dad was dying, and so I'm driving back and forth from the hospital home, and I'm listening to the radio at the time, and it's just on and on and on. And it's "Listen to Your Heart," the remix by DHT.
Okay.
And so I love listening to that song because I just get happy tears that come down. It's just so many songs bring you a memory.
Oh, man. For me, when one of the hardest periods of my life was when I had my first child. And some people out there be like, why is that hard? And just, I can't explain that to you. You have to have a child to understand why it's hard, but it's a real transition. There's so much fear and so much confusion and so little sleep on top of it. You're just like in a whole other world. But for me, it was very existential experience, very intense existential experience. And at that moment, going through that and going through all the panic and anxiety, I understood why some people run away and disappear, why dads just go screaming for the hills, because it's quite scary and daunting and overwhelming, because you want to be the perfect person for this child and you don't know if you can be, and it's scary. It's really scary. And then you're tied into this is you have no choice anymore, and that's kind of scary too on a human level. But then Toto's Africa would play. And there's that part where it goes, it's going to take a lot to take me away from you. There's nothing that 100 men or more could ever do.
Yeah.
And for me, Africa was this new child. And I would just be waterfalls in the car when that song came on, because that spoke to me directly. Like, no matter how hard it was going to be for me, like a blowtorch wouldn't separate me from my family or from my kid. And now I have 3. So, and I'm here and I'm so hands-on and I look forward to it. And I've taken sacrifices in my job to be here and be hands-on. I stopped doing late night gigs because I want to be up in the morning making breakfast and getting them off to school.
Yeah, makes sense. How about Weezer's version of Africa in the video with Weird Al? We're talking about.
I didn't see that. I've never seen that. Weezer has so many great songs too. Yeah.
Check out the video with Weezer doing Africa with Weird Al.
I shall.
Pretty good. You'll laugh and cry probably at the same time. So we're both Jersey boys. It's always funny, because I'm Central Jersey, you're South Jersey. What does the Jersey Shore mean to you? And I can ask 10 people and get 10 different answers.
Well, I understand when some people nowadays, when you say Jersey Shore, they think of the show and they think of the uns and the big.
But even without the show, I mean, Jersey Shore to me is Bar A, Jenkinson's. That's the Jersey Shore.
Jenks. Wait, where is Jenks again?
Point Pleasant,
and that's close to DJs right next to
DJs was
Belmar.
Lakewood. Oh, Belmar. Belmar is where Bar A is also.
Wait, I know DJs there. I don't know where Bar A is.
Bar A, yeah, that was the spot.
Okay,
that was the hottest place.
Then Jenks, you go to Point Pleasant to go to Jenks.
Yeah.
So we didn't have so I'm from my town. It was never very commercial. It was always more private. There's no boardwalk. It's not commercial at all. They're actually slowly changing that. But my town was Margate, and Margate's in between Atlantic City, which was incredibly commercial. What a cursed place, a wretched place. And and then there was Ocean City, which was a hugely commercial town, but that had blue laws, so you couldn't. So it was a dry town. So Margate was like a lot of people from Philly, a lot of private homes. So when you say the Jersey Shore, to me, I definitely think of the beach, great beaches. I think of cheesesteaks, the best cheesesteaks in the entire
It's
world.
such a long stretch. Like some people think of Jersey Shore down by you. Some people think of Jersey
Yeah,
Shore
it
that's
is. It's a huge
over by
stretch.
Belmar and Point
I've
Pleasant.
never went to Avalon and Stone Harbor,
Right.
and I never even went to Cape May. I mean, even though, funny enough, surprisingly enough, Cape May is the most expensive vacation town in the entire country. You can stay in a hovel that's falling apart for $500.
Yeah.
But the Jersey Shore to me, and the places we went were just like bars in my town, like Maynard's and Ventura's, which most people never even heard of. But the Jersey Shore, it's a part of me. All the fishing that I did, all the summers, you'll never take that out of me. I still go back once in a while.
I love it. I go to see the Nerds. You know the Nerds?
No, I don't.
Oh man, the Nerds are like the preeminent cover band in New Jersey.
Where?
They play all over. They play all over, but they do have a
I'm
house
writing this
gig
down.
at Jenks.
I'm writing
Some
this
of it
down.
might be
Nerds.
the Nerds. Just I wanted them to play at my wedding, and then I found out it was going to be like $13,000, and I was like,
Wow.
just have it.
They're serious.
Yeah, no, they were on MTV Battle of the Bands. I'm trying to get Spaz, who's the lead singer on the show here. I'll send him this and tell him we gave him a shout out.
I'm signing up, man. I need to know.
They've been playing for 30 years. They have a sponsor. I mean, they're unbelievable.
That's awesome, man. Good. God bless them. I actually work with a great guy, Marcus Laniel. Fun Music Presents. He does a lot of shows in New York. He does the Jesse's Girl, which is this amazing 80s cover band. And he does
Jesse's Girl, I think, is going on the 80s cruise.
Yeah, they do that.
Yeah.
They're just the best.
We've done work with the 80s cruise, and we're
the Fresh Kids of Bel Air, which do 90s and 2000s. And he has this disco act. Gosh, I don't know why it's escaping me. I'm shame on me for not remembering the name, but they're great cover bands. There's really super talented people who just like, this is what I'm talking about, entertaining. Like, a snob might be like, oh, cover bands, but then like the people
I love a cover
have
band.
such a great time and they're so happy, and you can do that.
I know if I go see a cover band that I'm going to have a good time because I know they're going to play a ton of music. If I go and I'll go see live music, I don't care who it is, if they're playing their own stuff. But I've gone to concerts and I'm like waiting for them to play 3 songs, and I'm singing 10 songs I don't want to hear. Right. It's still great to listen to live. I go to a cover, almost always it's going to be music I love and I know, and I'm singing along and I'm dancing. So to me, cover bands are almost as good as some of these other bands. But have you ever heard? I've yet to see Saved by the 90s, but they've been around. They come through my town. I haven't been able to get to them.
Yeah, not yet.
Yeah, they're pretty good. So check if you're looking for a fun show, and that's really what it is. Just let's go out, forget about everything, listen to the stuff that takes us back.
Yep.
And that's it. I mean, it's out there. It's not hard to find.
Absolutely.
That's the big thing is it's not hard to find. If you want to find it, go out there and find it. And especially if you're in New Jersey or New York City or HerbertHoller.com. We got to plug the website.
Yeah, if anyone wants to email me, Herbert@HerbertHoller.com. I'm always here. I love chatting and meeting new people, and I love playing. So if you have something coming up and you want someone to play for all different ages and all different kinds, I don't care if it's, you want me to play, like I did a wedding recently where there were flappers and I was playing like, super old 20s, roaring 20s music, and even some Benny Goodman stuff and lots of jazz from the 40s and swing, and it was so much fun. So
did you get any cherry poppin' daddies or big bad voodoo daddy in there? Or
no, I don't. No, I'm gonna make a note of that right now. See, this is the thing about, like, I can't, like, if I'm with my wife and we go on date night and I walk into a place that they're playing music, like, I'm gone. She can't talk to me. She's so annoying because now I'm thinking, okay, what is this, and do I have it, and what can I mix in with it, and how does it work? Right? It's crazy.
Those are great. I love those songs. I don't even swing or do anything like that, but man, you put that on, it's it'll get me.
Yeah.
Do you have a song? I guess you've seen performances, events, concerts. Is there someone out there who you've never seen that you would love to see?
Um, yeah. There was this one year where I was going a lot and I saw a whole bunch. I'm actually going to see Ambrosia. I'm a yacht rock fan, so I'm going to see Ambrosia at Daryl's house in Pauling. Daryl Hall of Hall and Oates, he has a place up there.
I saw Paul and Oates, that great
Oh
show
yeah,
they played with
oh
Train.
yeah,
Yacht Rock Review. Do you know who they are?
yeah. They do all the they do the
Those
big
guys are
all the stuff.
great.
Yeah,
Yeah, they go on the cruises that I go on. They actually have their own stuff too. But man, what a fun night of music
yeah.
they
I'm
are.
trying to think of. I knew that I had someone talk. Stevie Wonder would be cool to see.
Yeah.
I've never seen him. That would be awesome. He's one of my favorites. Um, yeah, I've
All
seen
right.
a lot, man. There's really nobody that I would
Well,
be
see,
really jonesing to see right now.
we're all about Mount.
I wish Notorious Big was still alive. That'd be cool to see
Yeah,
him.
see, I'm not a huge fan of his stuff with
Okay.
regards to rap, but I know that people love him. They go crazy when his song comes on. Uh,
Jay-Z would be a good show for
yeah,
me.
I saw Jay-Z with Beyonce. That was a great show.
Oh wow, yeah, that's
Give me,
awesome.
we're all about Mount Rushmore on the Wolf Den. Give me two. I want two Mount Rushmores. I want the Mount Rushmore of DJs, and I want the Mount Rushmore of music. Of whoever your four favorites are.
Okay, so the Mount Rushmore of DJs would be Jazzy Jeff.
Okay.
I would have to say, can they be a living? They have to be living.
No.
I think I would say Reginald. I think is Fessenden. He was the first person to broadcast music to listeners.
Okay.
He put receivers on cargo ships and played from this very thing, and he sent them a message and then a Christmas message and played Handel's Xerxes or something.
That's cool.
You have to give it up to him if he's the first, right? So let's say in order, say him. I would say Bob Casey. Bob Casey used to do the sock hops in the 50s. They were called sock hops because they did them in gymnasium auditoriums and you couldn't wear shoes because it mess up the floor. And
Yeah.
his dad jerry rigged this two turntable thing to go back and forth. So you got to give it up to him for that. It would be probably either Cool Herc or Grandmaster Flash for starting the hip hop. Cool Herc was the kind of the first hip hop DJ, but Grandmaster Flash really took it to another level.
I never got to ask you too, so that's a great Mount Rushmore. But who was a big influence for you? I should
Well,
probably
let me finish. Then Jazzy Jeff would be the fourth
yeah.
to show just the excellence of DJing as it gone through from the creator to the DJ back and forth possibility to and maybe Larry Levan from the Garage, which is a very loved dance party. But yeah, but that would be my Mount Rushmore.
I should have asked this probably way sooner, but who are the big influencers?
On my sound.
Yeah.
Um,
On your approach, I guess.
my approach would be this DJ Goldfinger. He used to do a lot of hip hop parties in the late '90s, mid and late '90s.
Okay.
DJ Evil D, who I opened up for at that lounge, who was that world famous hip hop producer. And probably this guy, DJ Cozy, he was a big influence on my sound too. He's very smooth how he went back and forth between genres. So I would say those three.
All right, so now give me your four favorite. Give me a Mount Rushmore of music. Just doesn't have to be DJs. Just your favorite.
Gosh, how do you do that? How do you
It's easy for me. I got Petty, Billy Joel, and Green Day. Those are the three that are very easy for me to.
Well,
identify.
okay, so for me it would be Donny Hathaway would be up there. Stevie Wonder, Prince. You would have to have James Brown. I mean, how do you not? And Kenny Loggins.
There you go. That's
I
a
don't
hell of
know.
a Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a Mount Rushmore. I'm guessing the answer to the last question is going to be music related, but you never know.
Mhm.
We get everyone out of the Wolf Den with the same question. You can spend a day with anyone in the world. They have to be alive. You can't be related to them. Who are you going to choose, and what would you guys do? And we're going to we're putting a list together. We've done some outreach. We've had some great answers. We've had some outrageous answers that I'm no way I'm ever going to be able to make happen, like Vladimir Putin.
Right.
But who are you going to choose, and what would you guys do?
Someone who's alive.
Got to be alive, yeah,
That I would if I had to choose one person to spend a day with.
yeah.
Someone who's alive. God. Um, you know, I, and part of me wants to say, the Dalai Lama or something.
And by the way, I think I'd have to go back, but I believe the Dalai Lama has already been said. Not that you can't say the same thing.
Right.
It's easier to get a group of people together, but I think the Dalai Lama. Someone did pick the Dalai Lama before. I don't
There's
know.
part of me that I'm gonna give you the honorable mentions. I don't care if I'm allowed to or not. I would love to
Yeah,
spend a day with Obama. That would be
yeah,
awesome.
he's on the list.
Oh, that would be such a wonderful day.
Is Dalai Lama one though?
I don't know, but part of me wants to say my cousin. I have a cousin in Israel who I haven't seen in a while, and he's just so much fun to be with, and I would love to spend a day with him.
Yeah, that's why we say no. You can't be related because I had someone
Oh,
on.
maybe related. Okay.
They're like my son or my dad, or I'm like, listen, I get that. Okay, we all want to spend. I'd love to spend another day with my dad, but this for purposes of the show, you
Okay.
can't be related to them. So let's get one answer.
One answer. I'm gonna say Obama. I was really just he's so brilliant, and you know.
Isn't his? Do you follow his movies or his books and music?
No, no, no. I think all that's B. I actually think that his playlists were BS that
Yeah,
somebody in his marketing department put together. I'm like, there's no way you listen to Little whatever.
yeah.
Get out of here. You don't listen to that stuff.
But
And I'm gonna call if I hang out if Obama, you're listening. I hang out with you. I'm calling you out on that.
yeah, we're gonna be. I'll be there. By the way,
Bullshit. You don't listen to half those people on that list, and you know it.
We got a lot
you
of
have one of your kids put that shit together for you.
we got a lot of people who picked Obama. It'll probably be a big party. We're gonna have you DJ it a little bit,
Awesome.
playing these songs, and he's gonna be like, you're gonna look at his face like, what are they doing? And it's like, hey, listen, buddy, we just took the best of your list that you put out every year.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm thinking I probably would agree with you that I'm guessing he doesn't listen to everything that is on that list. But hey, it's a hell of a list, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
So look, check out herbertholler.com, Twitter, Instagram. As you mentioned, you could email herbert@herbertholler.com. I'm going to have to make it to one of these parties.
That'd be awesome.
Got to align when
You on me, man. I do Philly once a month. That's closer to you probably than New York. Oh no, maybe.
No, I'm in Florida.
Oh right.
Yeah, I come up to New Jersey. I'll be there around Thanksgiving and then again in December.
Okay.
But I come up probably 4 to 6 times a year, so I'll have to try and make it.
Okay, I got you.
Or I'll tell you when I'm up there, and you could come meet me at a nerd show.
That'd be dope.
It's a lot of fun.
All right,
a lot of fun. So appreciate the time here.
Thank you. It's been really nice, man. Thank you. Thank you for your patience and apologies for the flub up the last time.
We've had people who canceled and never had any interest in rebooking. So I understood that you were felt bad about it happening, and we're quick to rebook. So we're always happy to have people like that on. Everyone have a great week. We got the Wolff Den next week. We're off tomorrow. We generally take off Fridays. Check out herbertholler.com. Check out winagainacademy.com. We had a great networking event last week. Just meeting some great people. So check out winagainacademy.com. Until then, have a great day. Enjoy the weekend. Do something fun. Be nice. Be kind. And we'll see you soon.